Welcome to Good Burger Reviews. My name is John, and I'm here to do a special presentation since we're at the halfway point of the year, and I decided to do a new presentation that I didn't do last year, and that is a list of my top 10 movies so far in 2026. But here's the caveat to this little thing. I see a lot of my competition or co-YouTubers out there, movie reviewers, horror channels, they will do this same type of video, but they will put it in order. So I thought about this and I said, you know what? I'm just going to list my 10 tops in chronological order, the way I saw them, the way they were released to the theater, because I don't want to spoil the list when I go through my top 10 in January or February, whenever I do it at the beginning of next year, when we're looking back at the entire year, because we still have 6 months to go. But this has been an exciting year for horror movies. I mean, I picked the right time to start a YouTube channel based on horror movies, because this year I feel is like even already out the gate better than last year. We all know what's going on with some of these movies that have been released this summer that have been breaking records, going viral, making YouTubers like me famous, and just it's amazing what's going on with the horror community right now. And we're going to get into more about this discussion when we cover some of these movies that are part of this viralness. So, with no further ado, the top 10 movies so far, chronologically, starting with a movie released in January of 2026 by the title of Send Help. So this movie being directed by Sam Raimi and starring Rachel McAdams, about a girl who goes through a plane crash and gets stranded on an island with her boss, who turns out to be a horrible boss. So the whole front end of the movie was like Office Space meets horrible bosses. And the whole tail end of the movie was 6 Days and 7 Nights meets Castaway, stranded on an island, and the story unravels there. Now, what stands out about this one, which puts this one on the list, I ended up giving it a good burger. And I really liked what Sammy Raimi did with this premise. You know, it was very gory, very intense. The characters were extremely engaging, especially Rachel McAdams as our Linda Little. So I definitely recommend this one. It is streaming on Hulu. I will do my best to keep my analyses on these movies. I want to keep this video spoiler free as much as I can.
You are stuck with an asshole boss. Just like I was. Although I'm betting I am a much nicer boss than you ever would have been. Except for maybe this part.
Okay, the next one on the list, number 2, is going to be Whistle. This was released in February of 2026, and this was one that I said was Final Destination meets like Tarot. So for me, this was definitely one of those ones that you would probably consider a guilty pleasure. You know, you have all these young kids who come across this whistle, which is like this Aztec curse device that when you blow into the whistle, if you hear this whistle, you then get followed by your future death. And, you know, it was also giving me an It's Follows vibes, which we just talked about that in Leviticus, but like these kids are being followed around by entities that look like the way they are going to die in the future. And it was very graphic. This one's strengths was definitely the kills, definitely the mystery and intrigue of, you know, tracking down this curse. I just found it, the vibe of it, like giving me like a 1980s vibe. It had an awesome soundtrack.
We were told the markings said, summon the dead.
The markings read, summon your death.
This movie also had Nick Frost from Shaun of the Dead, who played the teacher, who also blows on the whistle. I also really enjoyed the solid opener which I was comparing to like Scream or Oddity or just any movie that, when a horror movie has a very solid opener. This one was pretty decent, and it blended the whole whistling themes in because they were at a basketball game and all that, and whistles were blowing from the refs. This one is already streaming on Shudder, so it's another one that's a high recommend. I really enjoyed this one. Next one that I saw was Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. This movie is starring Sam Rockwell, who plays this guy who is from this futuristic society that has been destroyed by this ultra AI, and he comes back in time, Groundhog Day style, meets Marty McFly to round up all these people at a diner that he needs to find the perfect team of people to try and hunt down this 9-year-old boy who is somewhere nearby, basically creating this AI god that will destroy the future if done. So if they can get to this kid beforehand, and insert this little disc, it'll foil the plan. But for a good portion of the movie, he's got to recruit these people, and in recruiting them, we get some of their backstories and how some of them are already dealing with how the world is coming apart already. There's really neat sci-fi element to this movie where there's a gang of kids who are like obsessed with their phones, or drone high school kids that walk around like zombies. That kind of reminded me of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. There's another one that like the mother has to deal with. Her son was killed in a school shooting, and they replaced him with like an AI version that had ads and everything. So this movie really was intense and fun, and Sam Rockwell of all of it was such a commanding lead and such an invigorating performance. The way he just comes into this diner and just acts insane. He looks homeless, as one of them says, and he's loud and funny, but yet demanding and charismatic. I don't know. There's just something about him in this movie I just really enjoyed. And, he's about to be in another movie with John Malkovich, so that'll be pretty cool. Anyhow, this one is streaming on Hulu already. Wow, this one's on Hulu too. I bought it, and I bought it on digital, and I have it already. So this is definitely one of my favorites of the year. So go ahead and check that one out. It's more of a sci-fi with little horror elements here and there.
I come from a future which is totally and completely fucked. And I'm here to set it right.
Are any of you even listening to me?
You look homeless, bro. Fuck you too. I come from a nightmare apocalypse. This is the height of fucking fashion.
Next was one that came out in March. And this one I felt like kind of went under the radar. It's by A24, and it's a movie called Undertone. I gave this one a cheeseburger in paradise. I really liked it. It was a supernatural movie about these two podcasters who have a running podcast, and they come across 10 audio files that are haunted. And the movie spends most of the time going through them, listening to these audio files. But in between, our final girl, Nikki, is taking care of her mother who's dying upstairs. So that adds a whole creep factor to this movie. I felt like this movie was done really well. I feel like it kind of came and went really quick off most people's radar. I think this one's a great watch. I'm assuming it's going to be coming to HBO Max soon, since it's an A24. I think next month, in fact. It's well worth a watch. The whole vibe of this movie was like Paranormal Activity, and it turns out the guy that directed this movie is going to be directing the next Paranormal Activity movie. So that, after seeing this, I kind of got excited for Paranormal Activity. And another thing that I had said in my review about this one was how I felt like this director was very intentional and purpose with stuff in the background and with his angles. Just really good use of the camera, which is going to get compared to another person on this list who obviously is the one everyone's talking about. But, I just felt like this guy has potential. So hopefully his next movie doesn't get as missed as Undertone.
Welcome to the Undertone podcast, where we talk about all things creepy. I'm your in-house skeptic, Evie Babbage, and Michael Lever, co-host, says he has a real treat for us today.
We're listening to 10 mysterious audio recordings from an anonymous email.
Okay, next on the list was the sequel to Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. More gore, more carnage candy, more kills, and that was the thing that really impressed me with this movie. Now, Ready or Not 2, I felt like was a mixed bag, like overall in the crowds. Like some people were loving on it, some people were hating on it. I loved it. I just loved how it took a sequel and just kind of went down that bigger but badder route, you know, more gore, more kills, more carnage candy. You know, that was what was titled on my card there that you put on YouTube. And it's just like Samara Weaving. So like I had said, Samara Weaving is kind of digging herself out of a hole. I kind of had a rough experience with her in a few of her last few movies. But after this first half of the year with Ready or Not 2 and Over Your Dead Body, I feel like Samara Weaving is really doing well this year. And I enjoyed that premise of her with Catherine Newton and all these families that came in and were battling the same way they did in the original Ready or Not. Of course, she's in the same outfit. It turns out to be like the same night or like the next night. But like, you know, the whole bride in the dress with the gun running around in this escape hide and seek, you know, deadly game. I enjoy it. It's a great premise. It's a fun time. And I ended up giving the movie a cheeseburger on Paradise. I was on the fence about whether or not it was a good burger or not, but I think with the way it ended and everything, I won't spoil the ending, but I just really enjoyed it. It's not on streaming yet. It's probably on pay-per-view, but I don't know if it's on any of the free channels yet. I've not seen it, and I'm not sure which one it's coming to. I try to tell you guys where it's streaming at so you guys can see it, especially if it's streaming for free or on a channel that you've already paid for.
You married into that family. Now they're dead. What you didn't know is that this goes far beyond them. By surviving hide and seek, you've triggered a new game.
Next on the list was another one that was a surprise for me. I kind of looked at the title and found out that it was from a franchise, Faces of Death, and I wasn't sure about it going into it. But then after watching this new rebootable, whatever you want to call it, I don't know what you would even call this because it's like a reboot, but it's different. It's definitely different than the original series. And what I liked about it was the differences because like it took what Faces of Death did and just made it a plot device. You know, the killer in this movie is obsessed with Faces of Death and he's killing people on his channel, Faces of Death style. And you have a girl that is like a person who does like auditing of videos before they get uploaded, and she moderator, and she basically starts being suspicious of this guy and his videos, but no one wants to hear her out. She basically plays Columbo and goes after this guy herself, and then probably ends up regretting it because maybe not, but I don't want to spoil it, but she basically gets into it with this guy. He ends up getting her and he's targeting all these social media stars. I just felt like the big strength for this one was like, after being disappointed by Scream 7 and Psycho Killer and The Strangers in the front end of this year, walking in the Faces of Death and getting this slasher meets serial killer vibe in a movie, everything I was hoping that those movies would have given me came in Faces of Death. And I feel like this is another one that seems to have gone on and off the radar. Like it felt like when it first came out, everyone was talking about for like a week or two, and then boom. You know, but we know what got released the following month. So since then, it's been nothing but that. You know, but this I really liked. I liked the performances of our two main people. I liked this premise. It was smart. It was fun. I mean, I still feel like it was executed better than Scream 7. And I like Scream 7. You know, I'm hating on Scream 7 sometimes, but I got to call it out for where it disappointed me. But Faces of Death, when this thing hits Shudder, which it's coming to Shudder in a couple weeks, definitely watch it on Shudder if you didn't get a chance to see it in the theater. It's really, really good.
I've been seeing these videos, all based off this old horror movie called Faces of Death. Do you think this could be real executions?
Leave it up.
You need to Listen to me about these videos. I need to do something.
Business is booming.
Okay, next on the list is one from a director I've been becoming really fond of, and that's Damian McCarthy's Hokum. As mentioned, Oddity was in my top 10 from 2024, and that's when I fell in love with this type of premise and this type of movie and this director. And I was excited when, Hokum was on the list for May to come out, and I felt like he did not disappoint. This movie, Hokum, is about a guy that basically goes to an Irish hotel and finds out that it is haunted. It's got a whole backstory with little villainous people working inside, a witch, a haunted hotel room, which was giving me a 1408 vibe. The movie, I felt like, was very scary with the music, with the tension, with everything that our protagonist goes through. Really done well. Damian McCarthy is becoming someone who's developing like a flair of the way his movie goes. And another thing that's kind of neat about this director and these movies that he's done is that they all seem to be connected in some way. Caveat and Oddity had little connections to Hokum, and of course those movies were connected to each other with the rabbit ears and the bell and the doorman and everything. I just think that, Hokum definitely stands out for this year. I had some mixed emotions about some of the things that were in there and some of the characters, but overall, Hokum was a good watch. And I know it's out of theaters, at least in my area. I do not know. Since it's a Damian McCarthy, I think it'll probably come to Shudder. Don't know when. Hopefully soon.
One of the members of staff is missing.
What about the honeymoon suite? It's always locked. Jesus.
Okay, next on the list, the big one. Like I said, I haven't ordered these yet. I haven't released. I have the order written down of how I have them ranked, but we're going in chronological order. But obviously, Obsession. Everyone's obsessed with Obsession, and why not? I mean, this movie just took the horror community by storm. It's been out for 45 days, and people are still going on about it. It's now on digital. It's still in the theaters anyway. It's blowing records like nobody has seen. And this is part of what's been going on this year of, YouTubers making movies. And there were some other YouTubers, like we talked about the Philippou brothers and James Stuckman, Markiplier, and these YouTubers that are paving the way for so many other people, on YouTube or other social medias or just other areas other than just being accepted into Hollywood in California, making masterpieces. And Obsession is just a masterpiece. So I saw it again, right? So I had to go see it again because I felt like I did a pretty big breakdown of it in my review. And after watching it a second time, I feel like I've connected so many more pieces together about it. And of course, I probably watched over 100 videos on it. So many people, even today, it's still posting up in my feed of someone saying something about Obsession. It's just hilarious. And I mean, the characters, Nikki, Indy Neverett, I mean, her performance, I agree she needs an Oscar. I will be stomping my feet if she's not even nominated, and hopefully she wins. Horror has been showing its face in the academies and the Golden Globes and other places as well, but this movie is just, it's like a sensation. It's like when people think back to 2026, this will be mentioned. This will be a thing, It's just it's got the world by its hand. And Cory Barker, obviously this guy having his YouTube channel, that's a bad idea. Doing Milk and Cereal. Then I did a little review of his short, The Chair. There's another short he's done I'm going to watch and probably do a short review on. I mean, it just seems like anything he touches goes viral. So obviously Hollywood's now got his eye on him. I love all the videos out there of how people are saying this guy is just putting Hollywood to shame putting its numbers against Star Wars and its numbers against all these other movies. And I've been monitoring the box office and just looking at what type of movies have made this type of money, and there isn't. I mean, there's been some phenomenons that have happened, like things like Paranormal Activity, Blair Witch Project, that little budget movies that exploded at those times that made these type of phenomenons. And I feel like this one's going to break all those records. I feel like it definitely surpassed Blair Witch already. I can't remember if it surpassed Paranormal Activity yet, but this is going to be like legendary. And I'm super psyched about him already doing other movies. Like, he's got Anything But Ghosts coming. I can't wait to see that already. I have no idea when it's coming. Hopefully next year already. He might be doing, or he should be doing, a Texas Chainsaw reboot. That'd be interesting to see, because I've always been mixed about Texas Chainsaw, especially some of the reboots. But if Curry's behind it, I'll be interested in it. So Obsession. I don't even need to tell you all. Hopefully most of you have seen it. If you haven't, go see it.
One wish, Willow. You only get one wish. I wish Nikki Freeman loved me more than anyone in the entire world.
Jeez, what kind of spells you put on her?
And then right on its path, right in 2 weeks later, we almost have like a repeat. So like Backrooms. So Backrooms is it in the shadows of Obsession? I don't know. I mean, a little bit, but maybe not so much, because it literally is doing pretty much the same thing. Now, it's probably not being talked about as much as Obsession, but Kane Parsons pretty much has done the same thing. Now, his movie had a bigger budget and was backed by A24, but it's making records for A24, and it's also blowing up the box office this year as well. It's only on Obsession's tail by just a little bit. It's like, I think there was, at one point they were like literally, I watched them both go up the list, and they're in the top 10, and it's like, what the heck? But Backrooms, okay, so like this movie, I had a special place in my heart for this one, with it being in a furniture store, and I work in the furniture store. And, you know, I was so excited about, the back room. And now every time, like, I watch little things about the back room while I'm sitting in the back room of my furniture store, creeping myself out. But, like, you know, the Backrooms, this horror movie about liminal spaces, and just, first of all, what I love so much about it is Chiwetel Ejiofor, his performance as Clark, the furniture guy. I just related to him so much, but I just love the character. I just loved how he performed in this movie, but like also like his character as it went into the back rooms, and like was so excited about it. Like when he brings his two coworkers back, and he's showing them the back rooms, it's like he was proud of it in a way. Like, look at this and look at that, and we've got to get this on video. And, you know, even when he was telling his therapist, like, about the back rooms, it's just like, it's like it was taking him over. And he just wanted to be there. You know, he kept going back. And I'm not going to spoil what happens in the end with this one, but, like, Backrooms is just another movie that is breaking records, doing amazing things for YouTubers. And it's going to be part of the memories of this year for sure. I feel like as people who mention Obsessions, most of them seem to mention Backrooms too. You know, it's so funny in these reviews, like so many reviews, even I catch myself in my reviews comparing it to Obsession, comparing it to Backrooms, or just mentioning those two movies. And this movie is still in the conversation and still in the theaters as well. And since it is an A24, I'm assuming once its theatrical run is over, or maybe while it's still in theaters, it'll hit HBO Max.
All these rooms, this place builds them. It's like a maze. It just goes on and on. Sometimes I'm scared I'll get lost.
Clark, can you hear me?
I don't understand. What is this?
So did we hit all 10? No, there's still one more. So who's left, right? We're into June, right? So there is one that was in June that I felt like is worth being on this list. And that is Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day. So this movie has also been a mixed bag, and we'll see how it pans out throughout the whole year if it stays on the list by the end of the year. But I really enjoyed Disclosure Day. I mean, I have a special place in my heart for Steven Spielberg. I grew up on Spielberg movies, Jaws, Jurassic Park, E.T., Poltergeist, just so many of his movies that I love so many of them. I can't even think of one that I don't like. I'm sure there are some, but like Indiana Jones and all, just, so, I mean, this guy's got a filmography that just reads off like the greatest hits of the 1980s, 1990s, and early 2000s. And this movie, you know, maybe it does not compare with some of his giant legacy films from then, but it brought that Spielberg emotion back for me. You know, the action, the aliens, the new take on the aliens. As someone, I heard someone call it the spiritual sequel to Close Encounters of the Third Kind. You know, this movie, I feel like, yeah, it might get lost in the shuffle over time, but right now I'm vibing with it. I love my experience. I reviewed it with my best friend Ryan. You know, we both loved it. And
What are you gonna do?
Full disclosure to the whole world.
That truth will upend all established order across the entire world. If you do this, there's no undoing it.
overall, it's a good watch. You know, I think if you like Spielberg's collection, you know, this one is one that you can watch. You know, I'd like to watch this with Close Encounters one day. It's still in theaters. It'll probably, I have no clue what station it'll come to eventually, but it's definitely in the top 10 so far of 2026 list. So I appreciate you guys joining me here to talk about these movies. It's been an awesome front half of the year, and I'm hoping that the second half of the year is so awesome that it knocks some of these off the list, and that in the end of the year we have some newbies that we can talk about. And again, with some of these will still be on the list, I'm sure. But that's it. That is the top 10 movies of 2026 so far. Please like, subscribe, tap that notification bell, all that jazz. If you are liking horror content, horror movie reviews, top 10 countdowns, horror death rankings, etc. This is Johnny with Good Burgers signing off.